Fans, y'all, welcome to Fans Forgotten and Never Signed, the pilot beginning of it all. Mr. N.S.I.N.S.E is here. I am branded, and we're here to just give you a nice tutorial about the beginning of why are we, what is in store. And I'm going to let Mr. N.S.I.N.S tell you what it is and how he came up with the acronym FANS and why this is important, not just to the culture of music, but to all walks of life, period.
All right. Appreciate the introduction, Brandon. For those that don't know, FANS stands for Forgotten and Never Signed. And basically, how we came up with the concept is over the years of probably I don't even want to do the math or whatever, but since about mid-90s, just dealing with artists and producers and stuff like that over the time. I always ran into certain artists like that could not, they were very good at their craft. Maybe they didn't have the resources at the time to, really just break in and make a mold in the industry. So, but one thing I never did is I never forgot about them. And the ones that stayed in contact with me, and even the ones that haven't been in contact with me in a while, we're going to try to get up with these artists and producers and make sure we can try to give them their just due, especially with the way technology is now. It's totally different from when we were, embarking on different avenues of the music industry or whatever. So, and this is going to be something that we're going to get artists from like all around, different part, California, Texas, Georgia, New York, you name it. We've got access to those type of artists and stuff like that.
It's important to add to it as well. They won't be forgotten by us clearly, but also there's a way to figure it out where we could also have these artists be remembered in a sense where there's a lot of new people that's going to be coming in, never hearing their music or anything else before, listening to it for the first time. So it's important not just to give them their flowers, but also to introduce them to a new audience as well. And I think that's important, not just, again, for the culture and entertainment, but also for the appreciation that we are giving to these artists and entertainers who have not been forgotten, but also they haven't been signed as well. So this is going to be a great journey that we're going to embark on. And it's going to be Mr. N.S.I.N.S and myself and the people. And we're looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's up, y'all? This is Soul Theory, and you are listening to Fans
on Nexxlegacy.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. This is IamBranded, Mr. N.S.I.N.S. We have Soul Theory in the building on this edition of Fans, and I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm here to hang out with y'all. So, it's been a minute. Like literally, it's been a minute. I haven't literally seen y'all physically, but it's just like I was saying before we went on the air. Y'all have heavy history with what I'm doing, what I've been doing with this brand called Nexxlegacy. Then it was like on some vintage music, strictly just music. Now it's kind of evolved to a bigger stage, a bigger platform with 24-hour radio, music, interview content, all that good stuff. So not only am I happy to have y'all back within the circle, it's good to be able to be here and not just catch up with y'all, but just talk music, the impact it can make, what's going on in the industry now, and how, in my opinion, we need more shows like this to spotlight y'all's music. I'm hearing a lot of different things as far as what we could do to be able to market it and put it on a bigger stage. And I think it's just important to be able to have dialogue. So fellas, welcome.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate you having us on.
We're glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, definitely. And as Mr. Incense will pop back in shortly, I wanna start, you know what I'm saying, just catching up with y'all and just be like, how y'all been, not just as a collective, but what have y'all been up to in general?
Well, well, me, probably around 2014, that's when I started my family journey. So, um, got married, started having kids, and working, got a pretty successful job. So, and with the same thing from Soul Theory, other things spawned it off of that environment. So I've been into photography. I'm a professional photographer, getting into videography, been doing that lately. I do a lot of stuff, make shirts, graphic design. I'm always doing something. So that's kind of what's been occupying my time lately. And then me and my wife, we started a business probably about this is our year 4. So we have a kid spa that's pretty much open on the weekends. So that kind of keeps us more or less her tied up. But I kind of run the outside. And so that's kind of what I've been doing the last few years. Well, it's been like a decade now, a little bit over a decade. So yeah.
Not to pivot, but how is the kid spa working out for y'all? Because we don't hear too much about kid spas in California. So
Oh, really? Yeah, it's going great, man. Like I say, year 4, we have a monopolized market here because the closest one is in Atlanta. So we pretty much have people driving 2.5 hours just to come here from Savannah, from Albany, from basically South Georgia. We're in Central Georgia, so they're driving from South Georgia to from the East Georgia. Um, we was only shut down maybe about 3 months during COVID, and we thought that
wow.
it was going to be an issue when we opened back up. Like, man, because this was only after like year 2, so we was a little worried how it was going to be. But man, people were like pretty much standing at the door waiting, like, when y'all going to open back up? So we actually started booming even harder after that, because the thing is, it's a great concept that my wife came up with, because somebody's going to always have a birthday. you know. So
Right.
it's going great.
I
All
mean,
right,
because
well,
you honestly only hear spa days for women. You don't hear it for
Right,
kids.
right.
So the fact that
Yeah.
that's heavily pushed out the thing. So we're
Yeah,
gonna
they
talk
come and get.
about your spa business and other business ventures y'all got going as well. In addition to just going through life in general, what else have y'all been up to individually? So because I know life, kids, marriage, all that stuff can kind of take place. But what else have y'all been up to individually?
well, me in particular, I after our second album, I think I decided to go back to school. Uh, and I went to aviation maintenance school. I can learn how to work on airplanes. Um, since then, I worked at 3 or 4 different uh, places. Gulfstream is one of them. And now I'm back home working on military planes. I can't tell you what I'm working on because I have to kill you. But other than that, family, marriage. Been married 7 years now. Um, 6 kids. So yeah, busy.
Yeah, me personally, man, since right then, like the second album, I think I was getting ready to move at the time. I moved to West Virginia, um, around 2010. Got married. Been married for 14 years almost, or 13 years. I can't even add. Seems like they all 20, 30 years. Seems like. No, I moved to Harrisburg. Ran a business in Harrisburg, Cincinnati, Ohio. Moved back to Georgia. Was an educator for a while until I came into a opportunity to help another brother of ours. We all know very well, Kevin, run a black-owned vodka brand named Island John. It's actually on my shirt. This is the brand, Island John Vodka. That's what I've been doing, for a while. I do it full time. So that's what I've been doing since then. So busy life, 4 kids, 4 boys, 4 amazing kings. So I can't complain about anything.
So y'all sound like y'all are grown men doing grown men things, handling grown men responsibilities with family business. etc. Let me slide music into this for a minute, probably a little longer than a minute. So
Yeah.
I was connected to y'all through Incense right here because I remember that multiple times I used to spin y'all record, and there's live voice, of those moments. It's kind of like geeking out as a fan, right? Because I'm like, uh, this business right here. These fellas is top of the line, doing amazing work, and different things of that nature. So there's a lot of old school, like, audio footage of me just being a fan. You know what I mean? Not just a radio guy or promoter or an interviewer. I was really, caught up in the rap troll theory and everything that is everything when it comes to y'all music.
Appreciate it.
So I'm gonna put a spotlight in a different direction and talk to y'all about just the atmosphere y'all took on when y'all dropped a couple of hours, like from the first to the second. Like, what was that experience for y'all, and how was the reaction overall to it amongst peoples, not just radio people, but also just your inner circle and outer?
Well, the first album, I guess you can call that a concept album, because we had came with a bunch of songs beforehand. Because it started out, we all had kind of that ambition to get into music. So just like most people who started out getting into the music game, we were just in our room freestyling, and this is before I even had equipment. I had like an old boom box from when I was a kid still in my room. So I had had double tape deck. So I would put a tape on one side, play the beat that I was just making,
rewind it,
and then
record it again.
Put another tape on the other tape deck, and then we hit the record button, and then I would hang a microphone from the ceiling fan, and then we would just be on there freestyling, just kind of coming up with concepts. But then through my boy Knack, I met Knack, Kevin John. I met him in like 2000 or 2001 to work on a project for another friend. So that was my first time meeting him, and I saw him. He had a whole home studio. I'm like, man, this is possible, because at this time people were still like going to the studio. And so I was like, okay, you can do a home studio. No, this is when this kind of took effect, all the equipment and everything. So I immediately got my income tax and got speakers, BR1180 track recorder. I think it had like 16 tracks on it.
A CD burner.
Yeah, went and got a condenser mic. Basically, mentorship through Kevin, being his like mentee. I just was kind of getting like, hey, what you got? What I need? And so then that's when we kind of started just taking that approach and doing it for real. We're like, okay, who's in and who's not? Let's start weeding out, because when we first started out, it was like 1 million people.
It was like 25 people.
Yeah,
we was like the first Wu-Tang came out.
And these guys know I kind of wanted to take it serious, so I kind of just started asking people, like, not axing, but axing. Like, look, this ain't working.
86.
And then that's yeah. And
a couple of them wanted to fight in the studio.
Yeah.
Wow.
And because I think people saw what we were doing, and everybody, and then that at that time, me personally, I kind of wanted to run it like a boot camp, because one of my favorite movies is The Temptations, and also one of my, I guess you could say, heroes, besides Quincy Jones, but was Berry Gordy, and how he used to run, Motown, and everything was right, done through an assembly line, because he worked at Ford. So I kind of adopted that same method when we used to do songs. Like, we might record a song, but is it good? We wanted to be different than everybody else. We're not just going to make a song, throw it on a CD, and then start passing it out. Like, no, we're going to sit here and record the song 30 times if we have to. Even if it's fire and everybody think it's fire, it ain't good enough. Scratch it. We'll dump. They know I'll delete a beat in a minute. Like, this is trash, because iron sharpens iron, So when we came up with that first album, about midways through that first album, that's when we came up with the name 365 Days, because that name came because we worked on it literally for 365 days for that whole year. And personally, I didn't do anything. Like I wasn't with no chick. I was just in the lab every day, just making songs, making beats. You know, me and him were pretty much kind of he lived next door to me. So that made it better for us to always just be together all the time, come up with concepts of songs. You know, Shad was over there all the time. And then of course we have it's a Soul Theory camp. So there was other dudes always coming through as well that appear on the album. But that's how we came up with that concept, was 365 days. And we had like maybe 30 songs, 35, 40 songs or something. And then that's when we kind of was conducting our own social experiment like Barry Gordy do when they have, you know, he used to call all the producers and executives in, and then they would have like a
listening party.
Yeah, listening party, quality control.
Right.
And it's like, okay, we need a good 18 songs out of this 30 or 40. And then that's when we would kind of break down and say, okay, these are the songs. And then that's how we kind of came with that first album.
Yeah.
Got some to add to it?
No, you said it.
But and then
let me add on by saying, like, just your projects I still listen to, you know, and I know it was back in the day. I just have, you know, like I said, I'm not even trying to be biased. I'm just keeping it solid as I feel, because music is supposed to be, you know, pure energy and emotion, you know, and effort. Because I think at the end of all days, you know, a lot of people know that if you do a 3-minute track, it's not going to take 3 minutes to do that song. That's going to take, you know, depending on how long you're in the studio, it could take a while for it to get
why
done.
You say that
in a sense.
Yeah, you say it took a while, but another thing that we were disciplined on was learning your track, learning your verse before you stepped in that booth.
Right.
So you can go in, do your verse, and get out. And if you needed to do it over, we ain't spending all day on one person.
Yeah.
You get in there, do your thing, and then come on out.
Hey, because
I don't ever recall.
That's how a lot of folks got.
I'll tell Tarik, like, hey man, tap on the door and tell him it ain't gonna work. Like, he got to come out.
I don't recall one time where you got to piece a verse in. If you don't get your whole verse done in that take, no man, they ain't done. You ain't taking and piecing in. Get it done. Or, hey,
yeah, we didn't do no what you call it, punch in.
Yeah,
I'm gonna punch you in right here. We didn't do that.
And so, and he used the key word that all of us were big on, and that's kind of what I was pushing since, you know, we was at my crib or whatnot, was discipline. We wanted to be disciplined, and like they'll tell you, like, man, this is not going to be to hang out. When other people used to come on and want to feature on the track, don't bring your boys, don't bring your girls. Like, no, this is a job for us. We're trying to make it be a job, so we come here to work. And if you ain't ready to work, then don't show up. Don't come with a posse. Just bring yourself in a notepad, and we're gonna be up all night doing whatever it is we do to get the potions going and the thoughts going. And that actually, that whole idea kind of started floating around town, and that's kind of what we were known for. Like, hey man, them Soul Theory boys, man,
they professional.
They over there working, man. They serious over there. You know, they don't play. You know, and everybody started to know that when they would come over there, like, you got to come correct, meaning that, like, all right,
you
man,
ain't coming over here playing. This ain't your regular hood
I'm not,
studio.
Yeah, I'm not playing. I'm asking permission. Like, is it okay if I light this up? You know, because they know, you know, it became serious for us, and that's where you could find us. And so we started getting that reputation amongst other groups and people who were in the industry or in you know, getting in the music game and whatnot. And so we may have didn't get what we wanted out of it as far as success goes, but as far as reputation goes, we still get that respect. And especially when we came out with the second album, it's like, man, you know, y'all be on some other type of stuff or whatever, you know, as far as where we're at in a local small town in the South, you know what I mean? So people were always astonished. Go ahead.
Can I add on to what you're saying? And before Mr. Incense has any questions and stuff, let me say this. I feel like y'all second album, a well-rounded album. The first album, you could tell it was just a vibe, right? The second one was a vibe, but it was also a mature vibe. It was more, to me, it was more of an extension of your growth as artists, versus that freshman album that just had y'all wild and free, just being who you are. This one seemed a little bit more structured, a little bit more on, more with a heavy hand, but also a real mature vibe, even more so than the first one. So you know how you always put up, your first versus your second, which one? Nah, it's 1 and 1A in my opinion, just based on the fact that, as media folks and fans, we are supposed to pay attention to the growth and the maturity of certain projects, right? Like, I'm gonna have some favorites on the first album, clearly, but also there's new favorites that's gonna add to the legacy that y'all created. And you mentioned something about success. I always look at it, not necessarily mainstream, but when you arrived, as you touch the soul, pun intended, of specific people who never knew your music up until they first heard a song. And if it's 1, 2, 10, 20, 50, 100, 100,000, so on, you won. You won just by that. And you can perform with a crowd of 1 or 100,000,000. They're gonna catch that vibe, and I think that's cool. So let me ask y'all this: 2 albums in, life changes, certain things happen. Did the music stop based on that, or was it like a certain feeling you had about the industry that made you kind of take pause?
I think it was a little bit of both. Life got in the way. I won't say got in the way, but life did happen for all of us. We had one of our members had died. Actually, today is his anniversary, or
4, 5, 6.
A death day or anniversary.
Yeah, he died today, 17 years ago.
So that kicked that first, splitting up.
Wow.
Shout out to Ronnie Harlowe,
Yeah.
Ronnie Lowe, Ronnie Pro. He was our DJ.
Wow, yes, shout out. And man, I hate to interrupt real quick, Tarik, man, but man, I didn't realize we set this up. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, the day is April 5th. Yeah,
4, 5, 6.
Yeah. 4,
Wow.
5. Yeah. So that happened. Just life just got it. I keep saying got in the way, but it didn't get in the way.
Yeah.
It just God takes you where He wants you to go. So
yeah, everybody had different things going on. And then for me personally, once again bringing Kevin back into the picture. Kevin had to hook me up with this chick that Hanif knows as well, Nicole. So I had got with Indigi Music, and then I started producing, doing the reality TV shows. And so, and for me, that I was getting paid. So I was like, okay, I see a whole new avenue, because for me, I'm not saying that hip hop had a deadline, but for me, I did long time ago, being that we started when I was like 21, 22. Well, for me and him, we went to college together. Yeah. We were roommates in college.
That's when it really started.
We started like at 18, and so me and him technically started at first, and but after that second album, I was approaching 30. So I kind of already had like a time frame in my head, like, man, look, I can't be trying to make it at 30. Now, if we already got a deal, or back then when they were still doing development deals, and we were getting some type of progress, then okay, we would keep going. But for me personally, I was like, okay, maybe it's time, everybody's got something going on. One of our other DJs, he moved to like Atlanta, then he moved to New York. And then so like now we're out of a DJ, because that gave us a good stage presence to have our own DJ. One of the other guys that are part of our camp, he moved to Atlanta, so we didn't see him. Basically what made us great together was all being in Warner Robins and being close by each other and be able to link up every day. So when everybody kind of started moving, I believe Shad moved to like Atlanta for a hot second, so he wasn't around, and it was just really just me and Kenny left. And then I'm hitting 30. I'm like, well, it might be time to just do something else.
And I'm 35 at the time. So 35 trying to be a rapper with a newborn
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah,
Actually,
he had a baby.
It was tough. It was tough, you know. Then
it,
you got to
it,
do shows, and your baby mama like, you supposed to be home, you know.
Go ahead, Shad.
honestly, with
Like
me,
one of your
I moved to
kids
West
was
Virginia at the time, and I moved to West Virginia, and I just so happened to get link up with my. I have a lot of family in the area where I'm at right now as we speak in the studio, and half of my family does music. So when I thought I was done, I actually did more, and I honestly had multiple shows in Pittsburgh. I did multiple shows with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Did shows with Petey Pablo, Bone Crusher, uh, J Hood, uh, a few people in the area. You know, I still in the West Virginia area. They still knew of me doing music, but I just to be honest, it wasn't the same quality. You know, I think I was doing it at that time for a hobby. I didn't really think Rashad was going to make a, get a record deal and blow. I really didn't think that Soul Theory was what I thought was the real deal. So I
Yeah.
think I was just still on it, and it just happened to. I ran the clubs. I was able to throw parties, do shows, so it just was easy. So
Yeah, and I didn't completely stop music, so
yeah,
it's just that the Soul Theory stopped because during that same year, which is 2009, I opened up an actual studio, and he started out with me. I had a studio on this area called Russell Parkway, so this was like my first brick and mortar business, and I opened it up with a female friend of mine, which I was introduced to by Hanif,
Who is also on the second album.
yeah, she's on the second album, April Crawley.
Shout
Shout out to April
April.
Crawley. Yeah, so me and her opened up a studio. We wanted this one-stop shop idea because she did piano lessons and vocal lessons, and then I was running the studio side. So we were doing good. So for me, music didn't really stop. It's just that the whole Soul Theory idea stopped. But I heavily miss it every day because that's pretty much I still listen to it all the time. You know, you can ask my wife anytime we go on a road trip. That's probably what I'm going to play.
That's us. That's all
It'll
of
get
us.
me. Hey, it'll get you
that's
to
the
Atlanta.
key
And
that
it'll
a
get you
lot
to
of people.
Florida.
Especially if you listen to
And
the hook on
Yeah,
soul one, because it looked
and
like
I think
it
that's the
sound
key
like
that a
you listen to the
lot
radio.
of
what'd you say, Tarik?
I said, especially that Soul Theory album, the Soul Theory Hooked on Soul one, as it sounds like you listening to a radio. And that was the whole concept of it.
We're doing it on the radio
Because we wanted you to listen to the whole thing, and it made it sound like you listen to the radio, so you get commercials and all that stuff too.
And that album, you can really literally ride the whole album. And that's one thing that impressed me about these guys, man. And I linked up with them through, mutual friend Kevin and my prior business partner. We had a label back in 1999 called Root Records, and one of the artists that is in their camp was on our label too. Mindsetta, Kiel, shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I need to hear from you, boy. But I loved it, man. Once I was introduced to them by Kevin, man, he hit me to their music, man. He's like, "Me, you got to hear these dudes, man. They're about their business, man. They sound good. They want it, And unfortunately, people don't understand how the industry works. And I mean, I've been dealing in and out the industry since like 1995 ish. You know what I'm saying? And first of all, I'm glad that we started this, and I wanted them to be the first. This is the debut show of F.A.N.S, and what people don't understand, F.A.N.S stands for Forgotten and Never Signed. Forgotten and Never Signed. And I got a host of people all over the country, different states, whatever, that I work with, just like them. But to me, I felt it's partially my fault because I was like, they didn't get their just due.
Yeah.
So I said, if I ever had an opportunity to try to get them their just due, I'm going to do it no matter what.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
For one, this is why you guys are the prime reason, not the sole reason, but the prime reason why we are doing this show.
And that's why I had you guys
awesome.
on first.
that made me feel good on the inside.
That's why we had you on first, because I mean, we gotta, I mean, I play your stuff for, man, like I was telling some of y'all, man, damn near from 8 to 80, man. People are feeling it.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. It makes me feel good because I still, to this day, 2023, I still bump into people at the store or something that I hadn't seen in a long time, maybe like 10, 12 years or whatever. And they be like, yeah, man, I still be bumping y'all out, man. I've listened to, and I know they're not lying because they start pointing out songs and also what really connects with me is when they connect it with a personal aspect of their life. Like, yeah, man, my homeboy died about 10 years ago, man. I always be playing that that last song on 365 days, you know, Stepping Stones. They be like, man, that Stepping Stones, man, it just does something to me, man, you know, and you know, that just really makes me feel good and really makes me feel like, you know, we actually did do something. So I agree with you, Brandon, when you talk about success, because me personally, you know, that's why I treasure these albums so much for me, because they were just personal accomplishments, but accomplishments with my boys. You know, we grew up together. Like, I've known Shad my entire life. I've known him my entire life, but we didn't really start kicking it until I got to college, you know, because he was my roommate. So we really, really got a close bond. And I really feel like that's what makes that album special, because everybody who was on the album was also in my wedding. So I grew up with every single body my entire life, from Kiel to T Hill. Shout out to Tron Hill. Shout out to Stephen Boykin. You know, we're talking about 4 years old, 5 years old. So everybody who's on the album, we all connected, and I think that's why you get that. Why we can be funny, why we can be silly, why we can be serious, and why we can just really connect and vibe with each other because we know each other.
Can also say that Stepping Stones is a favorite, and I know Mr. N.S.C.I.N.S.E, Hanif, you know this, because how many times when it debuted on the stage back in the day, I was like, man, we gotta run this again.
Yeah,
we gotta run it one more time.
Hey,
it's been you know, it's been a part of my playlist since I met you guys through music and radio. It means everything to not just have this visual dialogue, because I've audio interviewed you guys, you know, almost 12, 13 years ago, but to have this is a moment for me, but also to shine a light on a subject industry right now. There's a lot of artists out there that's talented like you all. I know men, women, groups of all different ages and genres or whatnot. They're struggling right now, talented as can be, struggling with the emotional connection and detachment of this industry right now as we see it, because there's only room for a certain few in that class, and then they don't pay attention to the other class or the new class that's on the rise. How do you guys feel about not just what I'm saying, if you feel like it's fact or fiction, but also there's people literally as talented as you all wanting to step away because of those things that I just mentioned?
Oh, well, my advice would be to not stop. Even when life is gonna get in your way, just keep on doing you. And now that we got a whole lot of ways to put it out there, put your music out there now. You got the internet. See, we didn't have that then. We had to actually burn CD and go pass them out. You know, now you could just do that shit on the laptop and you know, put your own stuff out there. So, you know, you have that going on. So I would say don't quit. Keep going. Somebody gonna see you.
Yeah. And see,
so I'm gonna throw a curveball, because you're absolutely right. There is multiple ways to be able to get music out to multiple streams and getting it out there. But here's the thing, devil's advocate, but not really. It's just what a lot of industry artists that clearly is talented is struggling with. I'm getting it out and it's everywhere, but the masses only want to hear the top 5 or 10 people that's already circulating or putting it out there as such. The way that people consume music isn't what it once was. You would take those trips to Tower Records and in some cases Rasputin's over here in Berkeley. Well, still in Berkeley, but certain places you had to journey to in order for you to go get a CD and to listen to it and have those, clear moments, right? Now it's consumed quickly and easily, but also, in my opinion, in some cases, it's taken for granted somewhat. Do y'all agree, or how do y'all feel when I throw that out there?
Yeah. Like the advice part, man, I wouldn't know what to say in this time because the game is so dirty and it moves so quick. And it's more self-sufficient. Like I say earlier when I was talking back then, that's when we were looking for development deals. Now they want you already packaged, polished, and ready to go. Like what how many streams you got, how many views you got, versus when we were coming along,
they wanted to change us.
And they want to be like, well, we can work on you. You just, we'll give you that development deal. We'll put you on the shelf, or we'll give you a distribution deal. They were still giving out, certain kind of deals, but and also a difference is when we were coming along, music lasted a little bit longer. But an album come out, you listen to that album all year. Now, J. Cole drops the most fire album, and people pretty much got about a 2-week attention span for it. And then next thing you know, the next album is coming out. They get another 2 weeks. That's buzzing for about a week or two, and then nobody's talking about it anymore. So, it's a tough market, and I believe it allows you to put out more music and more content. But, I really don't know what to say, because it's a competitive game.
Yeah, it's a lot of people out here.
Yeah,
that is trying hard.
I would just say, why are you doing it? Whatever reason you're doing it, just stick to that reason. If you're in there trying to get a deal or something, that's not what you should be doing. If you're doing it because you're passionate about it, if you have an end goal, I'm doing it for this reason, promote this, do that, put your plan into motion, work your plan. But outside of that, I wouldn't say give up, but definitely, have a plan and a purpose and a reason. Don't just be out there just trying to make music to go get signed by somebody, because that's dead.
Yeah, I agree with Shad. I would echo Shad if I had to answer exactly what Shad said, because the important thing about us, when I keep talking about deals and stuff, that ain't what we were looking for. We really just blazing up in the studio and just making music, and then just sit there and listen to it,
And it came out with some hot fire stuff.
Yeah, it was really outside forces that like, hey man, y'all need to do shows. Hey man, y'all need to sell CDs and y'all need to put it out, and then that's how that really come about. But really, we was just content with like
just flooding Warner Robins with our
stuff. We just like making music in the lab.
Honestly, I'm a East Coast rider. I'm an Outkast rider. I love like the Locks, Mobb Deep, Outkast definitely. But then outside of that, it's us. The Soul Theory.
One thing I like, one thing I like about the whole both of the Soul Theory albums is if you listen to both of them, you notice that we never mentioned what year it is. And that was for a reason. Because you're still listening to that album almost a lot, and it's 2023, and we made them albums way back in 2003 and 8.
Yep.
And
people
don't know what year it is. You don't know that.
People don't know.
Go buy that CD today in this store and be like,
except for the last song on Hooked on Soul, which is Hooked on Soul, I did say that's the only time it was mentioned. I did say 2006, I'm grown, and that was it. Yeah. That was only because I was talking about our DJ, because that song was kind of pretty much a dedication to him.
Yeah.
Because he starts it out talking about Ronnie. And so I had to mention 06, and so that was the only time a date was mentioned. You're right.
Hey, BK, go ahead and give him a little history about Ronnie.
Well, Ronnie lived next door to me actually, but we worked together. And I'll make it real quick. And so me and him, we were working together, but I was, I was working on album with my boys. And so I didn't think he was into music like he was, especially our music. He was a white dude. And so I was judging a book by its cover. And he was a quiet guy. So I had to, when he started working with me, I had to train him. So he had to sit like next to me in my little cubicle area, and he would see me with my laptop out or whatever, and then he would start asking questions. I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, man, I do a little music too. I DJ. I was like, you DJ what? Man, I went over his house that night. I was like, man, you DJ for real? Like because he was a battle DJ. Like, he like scratching, and so he was just making all these little mixes on his CD. So I invited him over to meet everybody else, and then he came over, brought all his stuff. He met the guys, and then I was like, look, you want to be in the group?
We need a DJ.
Yeah, we need a DJ. This is cool. And then he ended up moving next door to me because I moved, and then he was looking for a place to stay. So then we was living in these condos where they're like attached to each other, and he was living to the condo next to me. So that made it even great. Then he was like, hey, my best friend DJs too, but he's in college. So he came home for like a break one time, and then he brought all his equipment, his DJ equipment. So then now we had two DJs, which they call themselves Scratch Supremacy. And so his name is Eric Blevens. Shout out to DJ Root. And so then Eric came on board, and we was like, man. And then, so
we try to make a concept for that. How like during the show, they have a DJ battle.
Yeah. So they used to scratch their ass off, man. So but yeah, that he was just a good dude, man. Hey. But these two dudes were also in the motorcycles. So they both had motorcycles, and Ronnie, man, he was a stunt driver. So he was like the guy that like standing up on the motorcycle, going like 130
on one wheel.
Oh yeah, on one wheel, standing up on it, going down the interstate. And so tragically, as good as the rider he was, that's how he ultimately died, is on a motorcycle accident. But what's crazy is he wasn't doing any kind of stunts. It was just a freak accident where he hit a culvert in the road, and it sent him on to the side of the road, and he started fishtailing and couldn't get control, and he ran into a tree. And so yeah, man, it was a crazy day. Me and him actually were together. Wow. I came out and picked him up, and but he was a good dude, man. He was a real good dude, quiet, humble, giving. He was always giving, like, hey, no, you can have this, you can do this or whatever, So man, he's just a good dude.
The people came and picked us up when we got pulled over.
Yeah.
Coming from a show.
Yeah.
Came all the way to Atlanta.
Yep.
Yeah. Come get us.
Got pulled over. Somebody didn't have no license.
I wonder who that was.
Wow.
Who's that?
Hey, a couple of quick ones with Soul Theory before we wrap up. One thing that I will say is when this is airing live, but also this will get interview rotation on Nexxlegacy Radio this coming Monday. This interview, along with of your music for the world to listen to. So there's going to be technically an hour break that will run out to the masses of the United States and also in other countries, just as a reminder for people in the industry as far as how you capture moments, souls per se. Way when it comes to music, I think it's important for us to be able to share the wealth of information. People that's listening to you for the first time, whatever the case may be, celebrating your music legacy is still important. So I wanted to throw that out there. But also, what's next for Soul Theory? Is there a next?
Yeah, we actually thought about doing a reunion track. So I'm low key. So what they don't know is that I've got a host of beats that nobody's heard. Every now and then I will crank up a beat right now I've been just producing. I have a podcast, and so a lot of times I'm producing, but I'm mainly producing tracks for like my intros, my opening, my outros, and stuff. But every now and then, during COVID, I was actually cranking up some tracks and whipping up some stuff, and I had this concept for doing a Soul Theory reunion album. Don't know what will come out of it, but I want to do it more or less just for nostalgic reasons because I like working with my guys, and ironically for me, I fed off of them. So when we stopped, Rashad, he's able to still work on music, but I couldn't write unless I heard their verses. I can't write without him. You know what I mean? So I fed off of their energy. I never, ever, ever wrote a song by myself. It was I do the tracks, but then when we get in the studio, my thing was the vibe with them. So it really died with me. So for me to this is gonna be a challenge for me because since we all got our own lives and families and everything, I'm gonna have to kind of get out of my comfort zone and work on a track, at the house and try to write something to it. But hopefully we can get together and get everybody together on the same page and put together nice. It don't have to be 18 tracks like the rest of them, but I'm looking forward to at least doing a good hot 6 or 5, whatever, or whatever the tracks take us, but I am working on some tracks that I have that I'm working on, like some type of Soul Theory reunion album.
I actually have something that I'm working on right now, which is an original Soul Quest track, and I actually really think it's gonna go extra hard. And like I said, it's a Soul Quest track, so it's gonna be original and definitely funky. There's no other way to put it.
Trans meet the eye.
Yeah, I think Shad wants me to be on that one. So
yeah, I think him and they getting on that track. So yeah, we're always doing something. Stevie B, he's still around, so they'll probably jump on some stuff and we'll probably get people in. But I'm looking forward to it. That's what Soul Theory's got going on next. And then the opportunities are unlimited now, where we might not have to go do shows, but now we have a little bit more knowledge and I have a little bit more access where we do music and maybe we can send these off for like video games or reality TV shows. Because when I was doing the music for TV shows, that's how I got kind of boxed out, because when I started, it was just for production. I was sending in instrumentals, but then the game changed and she started asking for like songs. I'm like, oh man, I don't have a group no more. We don't have any songs. So I kind of like got left behind on that journey, because now they want songs for these shows and I don't have songs. And so maybe now we can probably do some things where we make some songs and stuff that is current that will match 2023. And just, like I say, for nostalgic reasons, just to see what we got. We in our 40s now.
Yeah, I'd like to turn all of our skits into actual videos so you can watch them.
Remember, how long I've been saying that? How long? How long? Just real quick, man. Before we go, and this is part of the question that you asked them, Branded, and this is my answer. And I've been getting around to all of y'all with the Soul Theory or a few other groups that I've dealt with over the years. But I've been personally trying to call people and let them know how they have, touched me. And my gift to them is to try to still, no matter prior to the day I die, expose them, because as long as you have a quality product, especially with this music, your stuff is never old. It will never be old, because unless you can get your stuff to, I don't know how many people we got in the world now, 7 billion, 8 billion, whatever, nobody will ever actually hear it, hear it all. So with that being said, somebody can always be exposed to it. And as long as you can expose it to somebody, you can touch them, you can make money off of it, you know what I'm saying? Or if they just want to get together and listen to it, you got it. You know what I'm saying? But you always have something to reach people with. So to the people that are trying to do music still to this day, do it with the passion, and just remember as you do it, it's something that you can always keep and expose to anybody.
All right.
Forever. Mr. N.S.C.I.N.S E, I am branded. For those out there who are listening, will be listening to all streaming networks, make sure y'all tune in and get your alerts hit for every single episode that the Fans Academy will be a part of. And Mr. N.S.C.I.N.S E, Forgotten and Never Signed, is impactful, correct?
Correct. It is vital, especially if you're up and coming and you're on your new path, like he said earlier, as far as the new people that have never heard some of these older ones, whatever, it could possibly influence you. You definitely can get information to possibly help you on your journey.